O'Brien.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN. We pick things up at 3:07 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. We're coming into July 4th, July 1st right now. We get a half day on Thursday, but this employment data going to be in focus right now when you have Chairman Powell. So he's out there talking about that they're on hold because of tariffs and inflation, and that should kind of be the case, right? The uncertainty that they're out there. They want to see how things play out. But nonetheless, when he says it, the market reacts. We got yields a little bit higher today with the 10-year at about 4.25, and we have the market, as I come to you, we just traded down almost 20 points from where we were coming into the 2:45 p.m. bar. S&P's right now negative by 6. 62.47. NASDAQ 100 leading the way lower, down almost a full percentage point. You see the acceleration this morning, down to 22,600. We're trading right now off 0.9%. Dow, a leader right now, higher by a full percentage point, up 459 points. And the Russell, up 1.1% right now. Look at the Russell giving it back a little bit with some selling. How about some price and volume? All right, pay attention to that volume because that is a spike, man. You're challenging the lows, and I say that as in across the board right now. Not just the Russell. The S&Ps, you got some volume. You're catching a bounce, though. And yeah, we're looking at 15-minute bars here. Let's break it down to a 10-minute bar on the S&Ps. We only got about, a minute and a half left in that bar. It's going to be the highest volume bar of the day. We'll see if we can get it back. It'll be important to see where this bar finishes. And if we get any follow-through, you get some selling going on. We jump to yields, as I mentioned. And yeah, you get a little bit of a pullback. And there's your pullback right at 10 o'clock. I think that was having to do with the discussion where you got lower price, you get higher yield. We're chopping around there. And let's just jump to the headline. 10-year Treasury yield rises as Powell again says Fed is on hold because of tariffs. Now check out the quote. In effect, we went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs and essentially all inflation forecasts for the United States went up materially as a consequence of the tariffs. Asked if authorities would have lowered rates again if the U.S. tariffs have not been unveiled. I think that's right. And yeah, then they just get into the fact that, yes, there's been some potential input inflations, okay? And this isn't Chairman Powell. That's the end of his words that seem to move that market. But yeah, July's not happening right now. And when you jump to where the market is pricing in, okay, market only putting it at about a 21% chance that there's a cut on the table for July. Not likely. What's much more interesting is when you go up to September, when it's the other way around. There's only an 8% chance we're right where we are right now by the time we get to that September meeting. And the only question there is whether we're going 1 or 2 by then. Because by the time we get to December, the market's now pricing in 3 cuts. 3 cuts by December. Yeah. The market's pricing in 1, 2, 3, folks. 1, 2, 3. As in September, 72% chance we have 1 cut. October, greater than a 55% chance we have 2 by then. And December, the greatest likelihood falls with 45% being 3 cuts. Now, this number varies greatly. But nonetheless, that's where we are, even with a rise in the yields a bit today. We jump over to the dollar. So as we get yields rising a bit, you have the dollar catching a little bit of a bid to 96.90. We jump over that gold contract, GC. And gold gives back some of the gains, but holding up relatively well. You're up by $42 right now at $33.50 with a little bit of gold, of dollar strength on top of that as well. We jump around to some of the tech stocks. Amazon holding up well right now with the NASDAQ getting clobbered. Amazon up by 0.7% at 221, we'll call it. Yeah, Microsoft off by 1.1%. Apple digesting gains still on top of yesterday, up by 1.3. And look at how, you have the NASDAQ 100 down almost a full percentage point. Meanwhile, you got Apple up 1.3%, Amazon up 0.8%. That alone, to be down that much, these other companies. Microsoft off by 1.1%, Google off by 0.6%, Meta off by 2.7%, Tesla 5.3% to the downside, Nvidia 3.2%, AMD 3.9%. I mean, we got volatility here, folks. Okay, you better believe it. When you get the biggest company in the world, the volatility for a company that's the biggest company in the world is a dicey scenario, for lack of a better word. Let's take a look at it. Man, we had strong volume last week. These volume numbers last week, man, the way you break above these recent highs and you do it on 1.33 million. Yeah, I mean, look at this. You did do almost 1.4 the week of November 18th when they had earnings. And then you only did 1 million when you got as high as 153.13, which is actually the technically tail high. That's strong volume no matter what last week on NVIDIA. But yeah, off by $5 today, and NVIDIA has about 25 billion shares outstanding, folks. Billion shares. So what is it talking about? Market cap wise, $125 billion. Not in accounts today that was in there yesterday. You jump to some of the Dow stocks. UNH, how about it? Look at that move. Up by $11.26, up by 3.6% right now. Walmart shares up by 0.5%. Home Depot. And this is where the Dow can just really, you get Home Depot, a stock trading at $373, and you get United Health, a stock trading at $323. Price weighted index, United Health is up by $11. Home Depot is up by $7. That's $18 between those two equities alone, putting into the Dow. Look at Intel up by 2.3% today. All right, we're checking on silver. Yeah, gold and silver both holding up pretty well when you got the dollar. And, you know, we've seen substantial dollar weakness. We are catching a little bit of a bid. You just traded from 96.37 to almost 97. But look at how we trail off coming into the close as well. Right back to 96.75 right now for dollar weakness. And that's with yields pulling back a bit. All right, look where the 10-year is. The 10-year is right where we were last Thursday. Dollar last Thursday was trading above 97. We're at 96.75. All right, folks, stay tuned. We got a treat. We got our man Basil Chapman. He's coming up right now. Basil loves talking Dow. I'm sure we'll ask him when he's thinking of this Dow on a day where we got Dow strength with UNH Home Depot. And then we have Tim Ward coming up at 30 past. So we're coming up with our man Basil Chapman, folks. Don't go away. We'll be right back.